Today we are talking about stress-free moving to Northern Virginia. So this is like a relocation guide for 2022, really, because things are crazy right now.
Absolutely.
Things are going bonkers, straight bonkers, and we wanted to give you a kind of an updated relocation guide, something that would help you today, right?
Yes, in the current market conditions, this is what you need to look out for, how you can manage a stress-free move. And that includes your timeline, looking for properties, and just a few helpful tips to kind of get through this current market.
Yes, and so we're coming to you at 9 o'clock tonight because we noticed last night that there were more people watching the show at this time. So we're trying it again. So we want to come bring these videos to you when you're available,
Absolutely.
not necessarily when we are available. And if you don't know how we structure these shows, is we have a few talking points that we're going to hit in between each talking point. We'll take any questions, answer any of your questions. So put those questions in the comment section or in the chat room, and then we will go from there, right? Perfect. So we have the audio.
All right.
Excellent. So let's start this show. This is all about taking the stress out of making this relocation, right? So this is more than likely going to be one of the more expensive places you've ever lived. And with that, I could even tell when I'm talking to people who are moving to this area, they kind of feel a little stressed about the move. They kind of feel a little anxious about spending $500,000 on a property, right? They feel anxious about moving to an area where they may not know anybody. They may not have any family members. They're moving here for a career. It's a career shift upward, right? So this is to take the stress out of this process, right? Because it doesn't have to be stressful, or we can at least reduce some of the stress in the process.
Yes, ease your mind a little bit. I don't know if we're going to get rid of the stress. We can make it less stressful.
So the main thing that's going to take the stress out of things is to know what is about to happen, right? And so what we're about to do is walk through kind of 5 points that I think is important for anybody who's relocating right now to know and understand about moving to Northern Virginia. And those 5 points are starting early, iron out your finances, the 3 L's, buying trips are whack, and let it go, like Elsa from Frozen, right?
1 and 2.
So let's talk about starting early, right? Let's talk about starting early. And remember, put your comments down below. If you're watching this live stream on our rebroadcast, then put your comments down below and in the comment section, and we'll answer those comments at a later time. Right. So when we're talking about starting early, we're not just talking about, like 3 or 4 months. We're talking about 6 to 9 months.
That would be ideal. And I know that might seem like a lot of lead time. But in the current market, I think that just gives you a huge benefit if you can start your search earlier than you anticipate. Like if you know that you're going to be moving to Northern Virginia at the end of 2022, then the time to start looking for a home is now, or at least begin to get the process rolling.
Yeah. And the reason why we say you want to start 6 to 9 months is because Northern Virginia is a huge market, right? It's a huge location. You'll probably be working in DC, Arlington, the Pentagon,
Tyson's,
Reston. Like there's a lot of places to work here, and then the market itself is also, this is a very large metropolitan area, so it may take you several weeks, if not a couple months, just to figure out, I want to live here, or this is the spot.
Just to decide you want to live in Northern Virginia versus living in DC or living in Maryland.
That's correct.
So yeah, you definitely want to give yourself enough time to think about all of those things.
Yes, and you want to hire your team as soon as possible. The reason why you want to hire your team as soon as possible is First of all, with the real estate agent can start to help you to identify locations, talk to you about different price ranges, talk to you uh,
About property
the
types.
property types, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talk to you about what's going on in the market, kind of keep you up to date with what's going on in the market. And then you have your lender, preferably a local lender, because right now the market is so volatile, or it's moving at such a quick pace
Mm-hmm.
that you really want to have somebody on your team who actually knows what's going on in the market you're moving to.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, I know this is common sense, but you also want to talk to your moving company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Start to get those quotes in. If you have a summer move, if you've never moved before, summer moves are going to be the most expensive, and you're going to need to book those in
Well enough in
advance.
advance, right?
Yes,
And at the very least, you want to talk to the movers in advance so you can get quotes and estimates, because although you may not have found a property yet, if you narrow down where you're going to move, at least you can get estimates so you can know what that's going to cost you to move, across the country, across the state, if that's what you're doing.
that's true. That's true. So yeah, so make sure you start to work on getting your team together, and also, like I said, 6 to 9 months. Preferably, you want to have more time so that you can not be stressed, right? Remember, this is all about reducing the stress. Now, we're not going to remove it, but we do want to reduce it. And that means that you just want to make preparation. I also want to say on this 6 to 9 months mark, if you have enough lead time to make your move to Northern Virginia, then you could potentially purchase a new construction property, right? So new construction properties have less
Competition,
less competition.
but you need more lead time.
Yes.
Right? Because we have a buyer who put a new construction under contract in January, and the delivery date is October.
That's true.
And so you definitely want to keep that in mind. If you do plan on doing new construction, you're going to need at least 6 months, possibly 10 to 12. So that's another reason to start your search earlier. And then on top of all of that, another reason that you want to start your search earlier is because in this current market, it may take you several months to ratify a contract. Like, it may take several offers before you're able to finally get an accepted offer. And so if you're only giving yourself 60 to 90 days, you may run out of time.
Yes, that's going to put a lot of stress on you if you try to compress this buying process, this buying cycle into a traditional market. And a traditional market, we could find you something in like 60 to 90 days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So picking your agent is important. And so one of the things that you could do is you could pick us. You could pick us. You're watching our videos, so we know you like our content, right? So there is a link in the description to the Perfect Home Questionnaire. Complete that survey, that online survey, and then we'll schedule a time to meet via Zoom to talk about your home buying process, your real estate journey, and you'll be laughing like that lovely couple there. So the next thing we want to talk about is money, right? You want to get your money right?
Yes.
You want to start to think about this purchase from the position of, okay, great, how much is it going to cost me? How much do I really want to spend? Not only your budget. So let's talk about budget. A lot of people reach out to us and they say, "Oh, Abraham, I want to spend 600,000. I want to spend 700,000. I want to spend $900,000." That's fine. I would prefer that you have a budget tied to a monthly payment amount, right? So do you want to spend $3,500? Do you want to spend $5,000 a month? Is that monthly payment amount, that monthly payment budget that you have for yourself, is that including HOA fees, right? And all other fees, or not, right? Because with the interest rates fluctuating right now, right? So interest rates are kind of going, they're all over the place right now, right? So your $600,000 last year
is not $600,000
right now. And so that's why it's much more important for you to have like a monthly payment budget in mind. And then that way we can cater your home search to that budget for the time when you're going to move into this market, right? Then next we have that we really want to see you getting pre-approved versus pre-qualified. I know that you've heard me say this time and time again on my videos. pre-approvals right now are really not even a negotiable, because pre-qualification just means that you just went to an online lender, you gave them your credit information, you gave them how much money you made, and then they said, okay, yeah, we believe you could buy a house. That's really not going to fly in this market that we're in right now in 2022, because there's so much competition. Right?
Exactly.
You have so many people that are competing for the same product that you have to figure out how to give yourself a slight edge against the competition. Right.
Right. And so that is one way to do that, is to get pre-approved versus get pre-qualified. And if you want to take that a step further, many lenders actually can give you a full loan commitment. Now, the only thing, so they'll take you through the entire process. They'll have you turn in all your, your pay stubs, all your banking information, and they can essentially take you through the loan process, going through underwriting. And then the only thing they need from that, once you get a contract, all they need is to have the home appraised. And so that is just one advantage. That's one way you can make your offer more enticing to sellers. And also another benefit is that you can close more quickly if you're working with a lender who can give you a full loan commitment, which is another way that you can kind of, put yourself in a better position or make your offer more attractive to a seller.
Yes. And then how much cash are you going to have dedicated to this purchase, right? And we're not just talking about cash to close. We're also talking about, are you going to be able to offer over the asking price? Are you going to be able to cover any appraisal gap, any overages there? Are you going to be able to cover, perfect example, we put an offer on a property over the weekend that was listed at 650. My client only went up to 670, but the property got well over 700. But the property was really in its 30-year condition.
Exactly. No updates at
Yes.
all.
So that means that whoever is going to purchase that property is going to move in that property. They'd have to replace all of the flooring. So you're probably looking at $7,000 worth of flooring.
At
The
least,
bathrooms and the kitchen are also original. So
everything was original, like the
Yes.
early 80s. So really closer to 40-year-old property. Yeah.
Exactly. And another thing too is, right now we're seeing a lot of buyers or a lot of sellers requesting rent backs, right? And so with the rent back, we are with the rent back, we're seeing people. Let's see if I could kind of illustrate this for you a little bit. So with the rent back, so let's say it typically takes 30 days to close, right? So you have a 30-day closing, right? And then with the rent back, we're seeing people request 60-day rent backs. So that means that you may not get into the property for 90 days. So if you're not going to be able to get into the property for 90 days, then that last month of your rent back, you're going to have to pay the mortgage, right? So you have the mortgage payment that you're going to be making on your new property that you don't live in. Then you also have your rental
Your rent or
payment.
mortgage payment at your current home. So you're paying two mortgages at once. And we say that because most often what we're seeing right now is that buyers are offering free rent backs.
Yes.
Where at other times, you would charge the seller in order for them to stay in the property. Right now, what we're seeing is a lot of people, it's another way to make your offer more attractive to a seller. And so really it nets them more money because now they get to stay in this property 1 to 2 months at no cost.
Yes. So you want to keep that in mind, right? That's why we said at the beginning of this, you want to start early. Also, cash. How much cash are you going to actually have into this transaction? Not just to win the offer, but maybe to do some updates to the property, because we're starting to see more sellers put their properties on the market in deplorable conditions.
Well, let's just say as is, right?
No,
move in ready, but maybe not any updates.
Sellers are getting they're
getting cheeky, aren't they?
They know that they have a product that you want, so they're not doing much of anything to the product. So you have to make preparations for that, right? And so be prepared to compete. You're competing against other buyers in this market, right? It's not just about putting in offers. It's actually about securing a property, right? So if you have any questions, post those down below. So now let's talk about 3 L's: location, location, location. When you're relocating to this area, you want to start to think about, how are you going to choose a location, right? So it's not just about where you're going to live, in the sense that you want to be close to work, because Arlington County is going to be the most desirable and also probably the best commute in all of Northern Virginia.
And it's also going to be the least affordable.
It's going to be the least affordable, right? Also, it's going to be the most competitive too. So now you have to start to make concessions about the location that you're choosing. And when it comes to making concessions about the location, how are you going to pick, right? Are you going to pick somewhere that the commute or the travel to work is reasonable, right? Or it meets your expectations, right? 45 minutes, an hour long commute. Is that something that you're looking for? Or is it going to be something where you want to live a certain type of lifestyle, right? Like maybe you like to go out a lot. Maybe you like to walk to things and creature comforts.
Or maybe you just have a family that you want to spend time with. You want to make sure that you get home at what you consider a reasonable hour, so you have time to spend with your family or your kids before they go to bed. You want to be home by dinner time every day. So that's another thing to consider when considering distance and time.
Yes. And then there's public versus personal transportation, right? Maybe you're going to drive in, or maybe you're going to slug to work, right? Where you let a stranger drop you off at a predetermined location. Are you going to catch the metro, the VRE, right? There's all these things you want to consider when you're thinking about location, that you could really make that decision before you get here to make your move much more less stressful.
Absolutely.
Right?
And if you plan on relying on the metro, well, then that means you may have to rule out Prince William County altogether, right? Because Prince William County, while they have the commuter bus, they do not have a metro stop. So that will help you to rule out some areas. You may rule out Arlington because it's cost prohibitive, and you may rule out Prince William County because of the lack of the metro. So as you nail down those things, it's going to help you figure out what location is going to be best for you.
That's true. Now,
you also want to think about creature comforts and hobbies. Like, what do you want to do with your free time? Not even just after work, but on the weekends. What do you want to be near as far as shopping? Do you want to be in a more suburban area or more rural? Because Fairfax County or Northern Virginia has all of those options. It's really just about what you want to be close to. Some people want to be in a quiet neighborhood, a cul-de-sac. Other people, like us, we want to be close to a supermarket so that we can run to the supermarket like 3 or 4 times a week.
That's true.
Right? And so
we could make a list, but we
do make a list, but then we always run out of something, right? And so sometimes when you're in some neighborhoods, there aren't any supermarkets. For example, Fairfax Station. If you're in Fairfax Station, you're probably going to be a good 15 minutes from the nearest supermarket,
right?
Which isn't that far unless you need to run out for milk at 8 p.m.
Yes. And also if you live in Clifton, right, you're going to be much further away from things, but you're also going to have a much larger lot, right?
A larger home, maybe better schools than some areas that are closer in. So again, you're going to go back and forth about that.
Then there's the starter home versus forever home. So you're moving here maybe from Middle Earth somewhere, and houses are only $300,000 to $400,000. You can get yourself a nice little baby mansion or something like that. And then you're moving here, you're making more money, right? Yes. But then you're thinking to yourself, I'm gonna buy myself a $500,000 property, and then you find out it's a townhouse, and so you're devastated, right? And now you're trying to wrap your head around the fact that is this going to be my forever home or starter home? I don't suggest that you try to come here and purchase your forever home, just because I believe that it's going to take you a little while just to learn the area.
Absolutely.
And in a forever home up here may cost you $1 million, 1.5 or whatever your budget is, right? So think about this as a stages, right? So maybe you'll purchase a home that you'll stay in for 7 years, and then you'll get that larger home after being there for some period of time. We know this based on the data. Most people move here in their late 20s to early 30s. So you do have a little time, right? Give yourself a little time to get that mansion done. That McMansion. And then lastly, there is our school's important, right? So if you're moving here with littles, or you're thinking about having littles in the future, then maybe you're going to try to move as close to a school as possible. Maybe you're going to try to move as close to a particular school.
A highly rated school, right? So depending on what your preferences are and what rating systems you use, you may, a lot of people they choose Fairfax County because it's kind of like the happy medium, right? It's closer in than Prince William County, and also the schools have better ratings, but it's not as expensive as Arlington. And overall, the schools are probably just a little bit lower rated than Arlington, as far as the lower level schools. And so a lot of times people will choose Fairfax County for that reason. But you want to think about, okay, well, what schools in particular are you looking at? And then can you afford a home in a neighborhood that has a school you want, that's going to give you the commute time you want, that's also going to have the type of property that you want? So you put all these things together, and that helps you narrow down which areas will be a best fit for you.
Sometimes we have people that are reaching out to us. I guess we've maybe had like 3 in the last month that have reached out to us through this YouTube channel, which we appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support. But they have really small children, right? So they have maybe like a 2-year-old, a 13-month-old, like somebody's really small, a small toddler, and they know they want to buy. They also know that schools are important. So another thing to take the stress off of your move is to start thinking about what rating system you prefer or that you're going to use when it comes to selecting a community, right? There's greatschools.org, there's niche.com, US News, School Digger,
Public School Review,
right? So start that process right now. Even if you don't have littles, or even if you have really small littles, start the process right now of determining, okay, great. Okay, Abraham, we're moving to the area in 6 months. We're using greatschools.org. We only want to be in elementary schools
that are 6 or up.
Right?
That helps us to narrow down what places or what neighborhoods you may want to focus on. And it just makes it easier for you because it's such a huge area. If you can, as much information you can give us as possible will help us to narrow it down. Otherwise, you're going to be scouring through, hundreds of listings trying to figure out where you want to be.
Right. And then the next thing I would say before we move on is, are you going to go for elementary schools or high schools? So in the Fairfax County area, we have a pyramid structure to where the elementary schools feed up into the middle school feeds up to the high school. If you're going to be going for a 7 to maybe 15-year property, then you probably want to focus on the high school and not as much have that much concern about the elementary schools. Yes, the elementary school is going to be important, but really where the kid is going to end is going to be even more important than I believe the elementary school. So you may want to start with the high school, but if you're only going to be here for 5 to 7 years, then focus on the school that's going to serve your kids at this moment.
Absolutely, because there are some schools that are pretty good at the elementary school level, but maybe the high school at the top of the pyramid isn't top rated.
Yes. All right. So the next step to removing stress from your life is you probably want to stop doing these buying trips altogether. I know this is a little controversial, but buying trips in this market, it's quite challenging. Okay, it's quite challenging because we have such low inventory. Houses are moving at a quick speed. Also, it mostly, sometimes it takes you like 3 offers.
Be honest, 6.
Right. Well, I'm just saying
it's going to take you a few offers. So you can't come here, or it's very unlikely that you would come here one weekend, see 10 properties, make an offer, and have a ratified contract by the time you get back on a plane to go back to where you're from.
Right.
That may happen in the buyer's market. Maybe that happened in the past, but in this current market, you're just not going to do that. You're going to probably come down one weekend, see a dozen or so properties. You may even like a few of them, but chances are it's going to take you a few at bats before you get that home run.
That's true. So give yourself that space. I know that buying trips used to be a thing of the past where you come in, you fly in on a Friday. We look at, 10, 15 houses between Saturday and Sunday, make a decision before you get on a plane Sunday night. Boom, you got yourself a house. You know what? Right now, some of our clients, they're only 2 or 3 houses in a week that even fit their criteria, right? Sometimes some of our clients go a week or 2 without seeing
just nothing worked this week. Nothing came on the market that meets their needs. Yeah.
So you want to make sure you give yourself space for this. And give yourself time to kind of grow into understanding what it's going to take to win in this market. And also, give yourself time to come to terms with what has to happen to win in this market.
Now, what I will say is we're not saying not to come, because if you're able to come to see the area before you make the commitment, then that's great. But if you're going to have a buying trip, come with the expectation that you are going to look at neighborhoods. You're going to look at communities. So you're going to come, of course, you're still going to view properties, because as you enter these communities, you'll kind of get a feel for what homes in a certain area look like, when they were built, what type of finishes they have, the condition, but also just the neighborhood as a whole. Like, is there a park nearby? Can you walk to school? Are there sidewalks in the neighborhood? Things like that. And that'll help you nail down where you want to be. We had a client that came down last month, and they really thought they were going to move to Fairfax County. But after spending 2 days with Abraham, they realized that the type of properties they were interested in were really in Prince William County. And so just from coming down and seeing what's available and just getting their eyes on the different communities, they're able to narrow down exactly where they wanted to focus their search.
Exactly. And they also realized that they didn't want a townhouse. So
exactly. They were able to completely remove townhomes from their list.
Yes. That's usually what we see when individuals have like that below $700,000 budget. They're choosing between single family homes in Prince William County or
townhouses
in Fairfax County, right? Like, it takes, an extra $200,000 really to go into the single family homes into the Fairfax County area. So you're looking at anything above $850, really, to be honest with you, really in the nines.
Really, because even what we're seeing is a lot of $700,000 single family listings, or let's say $725,000, $750,000, they're going under contract for over $8.
Right.
So even if the list price is within your budget, we're really not seeing you're not willing to contract at that list price or even close to that list price right now.
So you just have to keep that in mind, right? And be in it for the long haul, right? So that's why these buying trips, I think that they're whack right now, because they give you the illusion that, you know what, I'm about to hop on a plane, I'm gonna get there,
pick a house,
do like some HGTV type stuff, and then it'll be over. Now, you could do that, but what it's going to take for you to win on that first at bat, we have not.
I don't know many buyers who are willing to do that right out the gate.
Right.
It usually takes a few lost offers for them to really, and that's understandable too, that, you make concessions as time goes by, but I don't think anyone is going in throwing everything but the kitchen sink at a seller at their first go round.
Well, I wouldn't say, I understand what you're saying, but I wouldn't say it's throwing everything, including the kitchen sink. I would just say that this is a competitive market. And it takes some getting used to understanding what people are doing to compete. So if you come here and you think, okay, great, I'm gonna offer $20,000 over asking price, and that's
I should get it.
Then you find out that there are people offering $70,000 over asking price for a similar product. It takes you, a little while for your ego to get bruised, and then to come to terms with, reality. So buying trips, I would scratch that. I would say come here and focus on communities, like what locations you already have an eye out on, right? So if you take the 3 L's part of this presentation, and then you have your sights on maybe like 4 to 5 communities, and then maybe you make a trip down here to see those communities in person, right? Also, if you do make a trip down here, drive your commute to see how that commute, how long that commute will last. If you're going to catch the metro, do the drive to the metro to see how that whole process goes. Right?
That's a good tip.
Thank you. Okay, so our last point is you got to let it go. You have to let it go. You can only control what you can control, right? If you're spending $700,000 and you want a short commute, and you're going to be at the Pentagon or in Tyson's or something like that, you're going to have to share a wall. You're going to have to share a wall.
And it isn't so bad. I think that because townhomes are not common throughout the rest of the country, a lot of times people have this issue, they have this preconception that they're going to hear their neighbors, or that the space will be small. But you have to realize that townhomes here are 3 levels for the most part. Now, there are some 2 levels. For the most part, townhomes are going to be at least 3 levels, sometimes 4, and they're just tall. But you have a lot of space. Our home is, 3 bedroom, 3.5 bath.
We live in a townhouse.
We
That's
live
what
in
you're
a
trying to tell
townhouse.
you.
Yeah, well, we live in a townhouse, but we have 3 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms, living room, dining room, kitchen, family room, all the space that you would have just, straight up versus wider. And we share walls with our neighbors to our left and our right. We never hear them, right? And so get used to that. Well, our one neighbor sometimes plays really loud music.
Yes.
It's
Be
rare.
honest with them.
But no,
Be
I mean,
honest with the
it happens
people.
so rarely. I don't even think about it. But our one neighbor on this side right here, he sometimes plays really loud music. But it is rare.
Yes.
I don't know if he has like one of those sound bars or something. But anyway, but yeah, so just get used to the idea of that, because if you do want a shorter commute, or even if you want to live in Prince William County, still at $500,000, or you don't want to spend over $500,000, chances are you are going to be looking at townhomes even there. If you don't want to go too far above $500,000.
That's true. Or if you don't have a longer commute, you could extend your commute, and $500,000 could get you a single family home. But you're probably going to be adding 20, maybe 30 minutes to your overall commute. And so now you just have to play this game of, what's 5 minutes to me?
Right. And also, what's 5 minutes today? Because we're not even talking about the accidents that's going to add time to your commute. Or if you're going to try to use the hub lanes, the additional cost of having the tags.
HOV
lane,
high occupancy vehicle lane. Yes. And also get used to, $500,000 townhomes. And you got to just get used to. I get a lot of people who say this, that reach out to us from the channel. They are adamant about not being an HOA. Hey, HOAs are all over this place. I'm sorry. It's all over everywhere. Yes.
I honestly, we sell so few homes that are not in HOAs. I couldn't even tell you how many. Yeah, I mean, almost every neighborhood. Now, there are a few pockets here and there, but for the most part, you're probably going to end up in an HOA. If you're looking at a townhouse, that's a given. But even a lot of our single family communities are in HOAs.
Yes. So they're not that bad, right? Now they are a little restrictive, but just get used to the idea that most of Northern Virginia is covered in HOAs, and your budget, $500,000, probably is going to buy you a townhouse. Okay. All right. So what questions do you all have? If y'all have any questions, post them now in the comment section. We thought it was important to make this video because, like I said, we're getting a lot of you all reaching out to us through the channel, and a lot of you are saying the same thing. A lot of you are having the same insights, and I wanted to kind of make this video that I could point everyone to, and go ahead and say, like, watch this video. This is going to explain like what is going on in this market right now, 2022. Hopefully this is the last year of this, but then we'll have to do a 2023 update.
We'll do an update next year.
Yeah. So hopefully you understand. Let's see. All
right.
So, you want to start early, iron out your finances, right? Get your money right. The 3 L's, which is going to be location, location, location. And then, buying trips right now are really going to be like location scouting trips, community scouting trips.
More of a scouting trip, yes, than a buying trip.
Right. Introduction to the area, get more familiar with the locals,
it's more like a window shopping trip than a buying trip.
Yes. And then lastly, let it go. Let it go. Just become comfortable with the idea that, you're probably going to be buying a townhouse if your budget's $500,000.
Or you'll be buying a single family, but you're going to be driving significantly farther. Your commute's going to be, 20, 30 minutes more than what it would be in Fairfax County.
That's true. And HOAs are everywhere.
They're
everywhere. They're everywhere. Just get used to it. And that's it. So thank you so much for tuning in to the show today. If you have any additional questions, and if you're ready to start the home buying process, there is the Perfect Home Questionnaire. There's a link to it in the description. Once you complete that online survey, we'll answer any questions that you have about the home buying process. You'll be laughing like this couple here as we kind of walk you through what's going on in the market and talk to you about your needs. So that's it. What do you think?
I think that we covered. I think that's enough to help ease the stress of relocating across the country. Hopefully, you understand. You know, one thing we want to talk about also: if you can't do a buying trip, what does that look like? Like how does a buyer purchase a home? You know, if they are not able to make a sightseeing trip.
Okay, so it's a great question. One thing that we offer is we do video tours. Once you iron out your location, or you've kind of picked the 3 or 4 locations, we'll start the process of, of course, once you're pre-approved, we'll start the process of looking for properties that fit your criteria. And what we'll do is we'll do these video tours of the property and also of the community. So that's one of the things that we offer to our sight unseen clients, clients that they don't have the ability to do a buying trip. Maybe they're overseas right now, and I find that the product that we produce as far as our walking tours of property or video tours of properties is a wonderful product, because we not only do a tour of the property itself, the interior of the property, the exterior of the property, we also provide you with a tour of the neighborhood. So you can get an idea of, okay, great, the house is here. What's around the house?
What amenities are nearby? If the house is in a HOA and they have a pool or a clubhouse, things of that nature, you swing by there. But also, I think you do a great job of really making the video tour for the property just like a showing. Yes. So throughout the process, you walk through and you really kind of zoom in on things and show them, point out things that you would do just as you would in a traditional showing.
Thank you. I agree with you. I'm amazing.
You are.
Yes. And I would say that when I'm doing the video tours, when we're walking through the property, I'm trying to show you all the negatives, because most likely the photos online are only highlighting the beautiful stuff, the amazing stuff. And the goal or objective is to make sure that you know as much information about the property as possible. So these video tours usually last anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the size of the property, plus an additional probably like 10 minutes of footage of the neighborhood itself. Right? Excellent. So I want to say that it's good to have you back on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Krista hasn't been on in a little while. We've been pumping out some content on our end. And if you have any questions, if you have any content ideas, right? If you have any questions you would like us to answer, maybe in video form, post it down below in the comment section, and we'll get to it as soon as possible. Add it to the list. Other than that, let me just check the comments. All right. I think it's time to say goodbye.
All right.
Well, you all have a great day. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.
Peace.
Peace.